Hello everyone, welcome to another live hangout here at Voice Essentials. So good to be spending the next, what'll probably be about 50 minutes together, hopefully. And yeah, what a great way to start the week. I hope you are safe and healthy wherever you are. Of course, so many of you who watch the live show, right now you are in the Northern Hemisphere, so I hope your weekend is coming to a happy end. Here in Australia, I can report that the week so far has started okay. So good things in store. It is 1 p.m. here, Australian Eastern Standard Time, which is important because we've last weekend, no, 2 weekends ago, we flicked over to daylight saving time here in Australia. Of course, not in Brisbane where I am. We don't have daylight, so it creates a lot of confusion for a lot of us here in Oz because of different time zones and what have you. But we're in a global community now, so kind of time zones is becoming, I think we're all getting a little bit better at the changing time zones that we all are. Because, for example, I just saw Mackenzie Kate is sharing in her live feed that she's in AZ. Now, I think AZ is the short for Arizona. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Mackenzie Kate, but so good to see so many of you in the live feed. See Kathy, I can see Matt, I can see Linda, of course, who's absolutely our long-standing moderator who is checking our everything that we do in the live chat. If you are not watching this show live and you're watching it as a replay, because so many of you do watch this show as a replay, thanks for tuning in. It's always good to have you join us, despite the fact that I'm not answering your questions live. You can leave your questions in the comments section below, and though it can take me sometimes a couple of weeks to get to them, I do eventually get to answering questions in the comments of my videos. In fact, I spent a good hour this morning trawling through what was hundreds of questions in the comments, because I'd let it get a little out of hand because I've been so busy the last couple of weeks. And that busyness has been brought about by the fact that, as you know, we are getting really, really, really close to launching the Voice Essentials 3 online course. Now, so many of you have already enrolled in Voice Essentials 1 online singing course, Voice Essentials 2 online singing course, and on the 1st of December, we will be releasing, it will go live, Voice Essentials 3 online course. You can think of them a little bit as beginner, intermediate, advanced, but that doesn't mean you've got to be an advanced singer to do Voice Essentials 3. It simply means that that's how much you're growing as you go along the course. Now, I do want to just make one really important point. For only 2 more days, and this has been the case for the last couple of weeks, but we're literally, for only 2 more days, you can pre-order, so pre-purchase the Voice Essentials 3 online course for 97 Australian dollars. Now, why is that important? Well, because when it goes live on the 1st of December, it will be retailing for 247 Australian dollars. So that means there is currently, but only for 2 more days, a saving of 150 Australian dollars. So you can get it for 2 more days for less than half price. Massive saving. But that is only for 2 more days. So if you were thinking you were going to get it and you are wanting to get it, you'll need to get it in the next 2 days for that price. I did make the mistake. I want to just clear this up. I think 2 weeks ago when we did a live show, I think I might have mentioned that from like the 15th of October, that the price would go up $50. That was my mistake. The price is actually going to go up $100. So you'll still be able to pre-order and you'll still be able to save, but you'll only save $50 on the recommended retail of $247, you'll be able to buy it for $197 prior to the launch. So you still get a little bit of a saving there, but if you want to save big and you want to get the course, because so many of you have already bought 1 and 2, and so I know a lot of you want to sort of round out, complete the big picture, you've got to get in, and so many of you already have, you've got to get in the next 2 days, because on the 15th of October, the price goes up $100. So make sure you get on top of that. Of course, if you don't already have 1, 2, and 3, if you don't have any of them, you can get, and this is only for the next 2 days, you can get the full bundle for $297, which is a crazy saving of $244 because, or something more than that anyway. I'm not exactly, math is not my thing typically, but I think ultimately the full bundle is going to be $389, so you get a massive saving on if you buy the whole thing together. Anyway, some people have asked me, why is it so cheap and whatever? Like, why are the packages so affordable? It is because I ultimately want to get really great tuition, online instruction to you, and make it accessible. So please, if you're thinking of getting, you're wanting to add number 3 to the 1 and 2, and can I say, I'm really excited about the launch of Voice Essentials 3 because it is really dense with information for you. You are going to learn so much about voice, about pitch, about harmony, about music history. There is a lot in this 12-module course. So, and honestly, to get it for $97 is an absolute steal. But I really wanted to get it out to you, my Voice Essentials community, my fellow Vistas, because I think you're going to love it. So if you haven't already, make sure you grab a copy. For example, I'm pretty sure, I think I saw Kathy Snyder, who's in our live chat right now. I'm pretty sure I saw that Kathy's already grabbed her copy, and a number of people have already grabbed their copies, so I hope you can too. Hey, I don't know, for those of you who regularly tune into the show, you'll have noticed there wasn't a show last week, and I had said there would be. In fact, I'd even mangled my dates so badly that I'd even told everyone that we would be having Dr. Marcy Daniels-Rosenberg on the show last week. I don't know where my head was at. I think it just speaks to how busy I have been, because firstly, last week here in Brisbane, Australia, it was a public holiday. So I was never going to be doing a show, number one. Number two, we don't have Dr. Marcy on the show until the 26th of October. So there's another couple of weeks. For those of you who don't know, Dr. Marcy is co-author of this book, The Vocal Athlete, now in its 2nd edition. Such a great text. If you really want to get into some meat and veg on the topic of voice, this is a great book to start. For some of you, it might be a significant step up in, because it is a textbook. It's not a novel. But if you really want to, get in there and really learn some nitty gritty, then that's a great place for contemporary singers to kick off. So Dr. Marcy will be on the show on the 26th of October, and we are going to be talking about semi-occluded vocal tract exercises, SOVTs. I've got SOVTs all the way through the Voice Essentials suite of activities, and we're going to be talking about a lot of their value. In fact, I've done some SOVT in the most recent release. I released a video last week or the week before about what to do with a tired voice or a sore voice, and we did some straw phonation. If you've watched that video, you have been doing, if you chose to do some of the straw phonation, you have been doing some SOVT. So anyway, Marcy is passionate about SOVTs, and so we're going to talk about why are they so good, and you never know, she might even give us some new activities to do, which would be kind of cool. Today, though, and next week, we're going to be doing Q&A, your questions, and I can see the live chat already filling up with so many questions. So good to have so many of you tuning in. You know, at the end of the day, that's the reason I do the show, is to answer your questions live. I do want to remind us all, I don't always have all of the answers, and when I don't, I will tell you. I'm not going to sort of try and draw a rabbit out of a hat and, you know, make up answers as I go. Sometimes I throw in a professional speculation here and there, but I'll always tell you if that's the case as well. And yeah, it's always going to be, you know, the information is always given freely, but always in a very generalized sense. You know, because at the end of the day, some of you ask questions that are directly related to your specific voice, and there are some times when the question really would require me to hear the voice, to see the voice, for me to be able to give a really direct, highly qualified response. But nonetheless, we work our way through it. And you know, the way this show has grown over the last couple of years, with so many people tuning in regularly, between 500 to 1,000 people will watch this show every week, which is quite astounding. So it tells me that you're getting some good value out of it. Now, if you absolutely positively must have your question answered, then you've got to throw a super chat in there, because that's the only way that you'll definitely 100% get your question answered. Otherwise, we sort of go through it chronologically. Just to remind you, if you do throw a super chat in, it gets fed straight back into the show, and the development of the channel, and the development of what essentially are free resources, and so your support via the super chat is highly valued, and it goes towards the whole community here at Voice Essentials. So I think after all of that, I think we probably should do some Q&A. What do you reckon? Yeah, I reckon. Okay, I did forget to mention that if you do want to get Voice Essentials 3, there's a link that's going to be scrolling along the bottom here. www.voiceessentials.com.au is where you will be able to find more info about how to sign up. And can I say, I continue to get really positive feedback about the course and the content of the course, and yeah, and when you see that there are, you know, 5-star reviews, like 30 odd 5-star reviews from people who have unsolicited just left their reviews, they're all genuine. So they're people actually telling you exactly about their experience. So I hope you can have a look at that. Okay, Colin Joseph. Hi, Dr. Dan. When I reach somewhere around A5, my voice sounds a bit hollow, but more above it becomes more grounded. Can you help? So A5, firstly, is high, and that's an A5, according to my classification, is the A above top C, what some people would refer to as top C now, which is C5. So that's super high. So I would have to hear you. This is one of those situations, Colin Joseph, where I think I would need to hear you and observe what's happening, because to say that it becomes more grounded could mean a whole range of things. There are funny things that happen with the resonance and the acoustics of the voice as it travels across its range. And there are sometimes very unique things that happen to individuals' voices dependent on their morphology with the shape, and it could be even the vowel you're singing. And so there's a whole range of things that can happen. And it may well be that as you're getting around the A5 area and it sounds a bit hollow, that the formation of the vocal folds, the way they're coming together, and then the way they're, causing sound to change, that, yeah, there could be some interesting things going on there. So I would have to listen to be able to hear that. So I don't think I can give a better answer than that, Colin. As I said, we always try to, be really honest in what we do or what we say here. Super chat from Super King. Thank you, Super King, for the super chat. A uni lecturer at a conservatorium said we sing with approximate pitches in actual reality and technically speaking. Is this true, and what does it mean? Is this why they use auto-tune or pitch correction? Okay, well, it's interesting you should ask that, Super King, because I have a whole, there's a whole module in Voice Essentials 3. I kid you not. There is a whole module that I dedicate to this discussion around what is ultimately the equal temperament tuning system that we employ as singers. Sorry, not just as singers, in Western music. And so that equal temperament tuning is kind of, it's kind of a near enough is good enough kind of tuning system. And this is why, singing in tune is quite a challenging thing to do, because where every time we change keys, the space between the intervals is not exact. And so our target practice has to move around. And so this is why no human being is ever 100% pitch accurate. And it takes a lot of practice to lift that hit to miss ratio up into a zone where it's more acceptable to our listeners. And yeah, that's why things like auto-tune, pitch correction are used, because when you're in a studio, time is money. I can tell you, I've been in a studio where I had to lay 10 tracks in 10 days. You might think, well, that's a track a day. Yeah, but laying a track a day when you're really trying to lay really high quality vocal and blah blah, that it takes time, and depending on the complexity of the song and what have you. Actually, it might have been 7 days. We had to do 10 tracks in 7 days. Anyway, you get the point. Time is money, and sometimes in fact, not sometimes. What we often do is we really go after emotion in our songs first and foremost, like emotion in our voice, so that we're conveying the narrative and the story. But beyond that, then the pitch, yeah, we want to sing accurately, but you can't add emotion post-edit. You can fix pitch post-edit. We've spoken a lot about, pitch accuracy and tuning and melodyne and auto-tune and things like that on the channel before. And I hate it when it's overused. It's, it can get a little bit crazy. And in fact, I've got a whole video about when I discuss Pentatonic's use of it on one particular track, and I didn't like it. I found it really lacked authenticity and removed some of the, that wonderfulness that we all love about pentatonics. Anywho, so auto-tune and melodyne has its place, but and the reason it has its place is because no biological instrument is ever going to be 100% pitch perfect. And yeah, part of the reason is not only the biology of the human voice being imperfect, wonderfully imperfect, but also because of our equal temperament tuning system that we use. If you do the Voice Essentials 3 online course, you will learn more about that, and we go into that in a little bit of detail. Okay, I saw that Colin, who asked the first question, has given us a super chat. Thank you, Colin, and it's just changed that comment to A4, not A5. That makes a difference, Colin. The fact that it's sounding a bit hollow, before I would dare say you're getting right up to the very top of your upper register when then you're wanting to transition into falsetto. Again, there's a whole module. Oh, you guys are helping me out today. There's a whole module on falsetto, the development of falsetto in Voice Essentials 3. But the fact that you, that's just a transitional thing, I would think, Colin, that the voice is getting to that really thin, the lengthener muscle is still being held onto by the shortener muscle, and so it's probably getting a little thin, whereas the moment you're then activating into 100% lengthener dominance, not dominance, 100% lengthener into falsetto, that where the voice is able to have more body. I would think that's possibly what's going on. Again, we can't be 100% certain of that because I'm not seeing or hearing what you're doing. Mackenzie Kate, Dr. Dan, do you have connective tissue disorders? How do connective tissue disorders affect the voice? It's okay if you don't know the answer. Well, thank you, Mackenzie, for letting me off the hook there. Connective tissue. One of the challenges that can arise with that is, and it'll be different for everyone. And this is really the area of a laryngologist, and the person to really talk to about this would be a laryngologist. But the vocal folds themselves have multiple layers, and I would think there could be some implication around that. I'm speculating. I've never worked with anyone that specifically has connective tissue disorder, and so I would have to, once again, you've made me do this before, Mackenzie Kate. I'll have to go and have a look at my textbooks to see, and I'll just write myself a note. Connective tissue, because it is a very specific issue, but I'll go and have a look and see if I can remember to come back and let you know. We've got another super chat from Carlos. Thank you, Carlos, for the super chat. And I'm going to just read it straight off the thing here. Hi, Dr. Dan, I appreciate your content very much. Thank you, Carlos. I appreciate the fact that you've tuned into the live show. My range is from C2 to A4, but I think my strengths are more to the baritone side of things. So your prima voce, or what I'm hearing you say there, is your prima voce sits in the lower portions of your voice. I just wanted to ask if there's a particular practice routine that would benefit someone like myself. Yeah, Carlos, we all benefit. I'm a great believer in, ultimately we want to be able to use our whole voice, the entire range. To do that, though, I think there is great value in specifically working the different registers of the voice, particularly your lower register, your upper register, and your falsetto. We have a register down the bottom called pulse, but it's more of an effect, sort of pulsating nature of the vocal folds. So I think you want to apply yourself technically to the development of your voice. You want a program or a process that allows you to specifically work on the different registers, but then learn how to connect those. Excuse me. I had a smoothie for lunch, and it's decided to remind me of itself. We want to be able to connect those registers through, and that's where we talk about register transitions. I'm very pleased to say and confident to say that the Voice Essentials online courses will teach you how to do that, and that's my approach, is to have you workshop different areas of the voice, and then have the voice then have to travel and transition between and over through those register transitions. Register transitions, the classical word, the classical discipline of voice, the word that they use is passaggio, which simply means, is the Italian term for passage. So I tend to use a word I think I first heard used by Seth Riggs in the Singing for the Stars textbook way back. I heard this word way back in the early 90s, and I've just adopted it. I think it's a really proactive, positive use of terminology to call it a transition, because that's kind of what we want it to be. We don't want it to be, just two ends meeting. We want to be able to manage and cause there to be a transition dependent on what we are doing. And it's this sort of transitioning or morphing of our registers that gives us things like mix voice. Now, you'll sometimes hear mix referred to as a register. I do not qualify mix as a register. It is more a tonal balancing of the voice, and so that's another discussion, and I've got videos on the channel about that. So yeah, Carlos, I would encourage you to, if you haven't already, I don't know whether you might want to consider getting into the course and checking that out. Which, incidentally, Voice Essentials 1 Module 1 is a completely 100% free module. You can check it out and see how the course structure is laid out, and so yeah, go and check that out. We've got another super chat. Wow, thanks everyone for the super chats. It really does help the channel. This is from Gilherm Pizzolato. I always give it a crack, but I'm often atrocious in my getting it right. When I see Gilherm, I hope that's how you pronounce it. Please forgive me if it isn't. When I sing, my voice gets too loud. Feels like I'm shouting. When singing at lower volume, I have trouble hitting certain notes. Am I belting too much? It is possible to create an imbalance in our voice. I don't know if you ever remember Popeye the Sailor Man. Certainly here in Australia, he's an American comic figure, but we, here in Australia, we all knew about Popeye the Sailor Man. And the funny thing about Popeye was he always had one arm. If I'm remembering correctly, was it Popeye that had the one arm that was sort of more built than the other? And it was because that was the arm that he used to crack his spinach. Am I remembering that correctly? Or have I just made that up? Anyway, the way I remember it is that there's this cracking of the spinach container, and one arm becomes stronger than the other, and so there's this. So he looks a bit funny, a little bit of out of symmetry, and what can happen is we can find ourselves over exercising, over balancing areas of the voice, and when there is an imbalance in the voice like that, yeah, the voice can run into some trouble, simply because you've over-exercised, over-emphasized the development of one muscle over the other. In this case, for example, in the case of you're asking, are you belting too much? Well, when we belt, the dominant musculature that is active is the thyroarytenoid, and it's opposing but equally important muscle that we then need to use to lengthen and to have the voice enter upper register and into falsetto is the cricothyroid muscle and the lateral cricothyroid muscle. Am I? Yep. The LCA. Yeah. Anywho, the point I'm wanting to make is that you can create an imbalance in that whole mechanism. And if there's an imbalance, you can over-strengthen one, and that then creates an issue in another part, in the other, when you want to access different areas of the voice. I'm just looking back at your question, Gittelherm. And so it may well be also something to do with what's called an acoustic reflex. The acoustic reflex is where it's got to do with our hearing. And so I don't stuff up all the details. I've actually got a really in-depth video about this, Gilham, which I really encourage you to jump over to the channel, my Voice Essentials channel, and search for acoustic reflex. I think the video is called "Are You Singing Too Loud?" Like there's a whole video on this exact topic, and I think you'll get a lot out of it. And so for you, I think it could be a combination of both. And I even, in that video, I talk about getting a dB meter onto a smartphone or a smart device, which you can download for free, and learning to adjust that sense of how loud you are, because sometimes, and I happen to know that my acoustic reflex is louder than most, so I'm one of those people that you can hear on the other side of a room when I'm just having a normal conversation with people, because I speak louder than I need to. My wife is regularly and quite appropriately needs to remind me that, Daniel, you don't need to speak that loud. And so I have to learn to adjust for that. And that then can implicate itself upon the voice also. We can find ourselves just overworking the voice. So I hope that's helpful. Elijah Freeman, my question is, are there some people who just naturally can sing without a break? I have a break I'm working through, and my grandpa doesn't when he goes through his range. So when you're using the word break, I'm interpreting your question as break for transitions, what we were just talking about before. When we talk about, look, there are people who will seem to have no transitional point, no break. I don't know what the percentage of those are. If you were to listen to my voice, if I was well warmed up, and I'm not currently, but I've been teaching all day, and I've got to teach 3 till 5 this afternoon. So I won't give an example now, but when I'm properly warmed up and in good voice, I can sing through my range without any real perceivable sort of clunky gear shifts, right? So nothing overly, okay? So here's the thing. Not everyone's like that. Some people have really distinct gear shift issues. Now, part of that's going to come back to what I was just saying before. Part of that's going to come back to our sense of gear shift, our sense of balancing the musculature. Part of it is acoustical, being able to shape the vocal tract in such a way as to not implicate a back against the oscillation of the vocal folds. We know that the voice is a non-linear system. It's not just one way. There are little, acoustic eddies. Eddy is a word that we, in Australia, I don't know if this is what the word would be internationally, but if you watch a really fast flowing river, and you look at the side and look at the bank, you'll see these little swirling patterns, and it's almost like you've got water almost going back the other way against the really high flow, and they're often little whirlpools or whatever. These are little eddies, and I don't think I've ever heard it described like this, but we kind of get little backflow eddies along the vocal tract as sound predominantly is moving forward through the voice, but also we're getting backflow of acoustic and resonance back against the oscillation of the vocal folds, and that is often noted to heavily influence our registrational transitions. And so that's worth noting. And so dependent on your morphology, so for example, Elijah, your morphology, despite the fact that your grandpa may well be from the same DNA lineage, he may not be, depending on mum, dad, and all that. Your morphologies will be different, and so the implication of transitional breaks, as you said, that's what can happen there. I am Jesus. I am Jesu. Has given us a super chat. Thank you. Very much appreciated. If pitch cannot be precise by the decibel frequency of notes, well, decibel and frequency are two different things. So frequency is the sound wave. Decibel is can be the amplitude or the volume of that frequency. So I'll read on. Of notes, how do you improve your emotional delivery and storytelling to enhance artistry, which all the great iconic artists have, such as Bob Dylan, Leonard Cohen, Tom Waits, who lack pitch precision? Great question, I am Jesus, and really important one, because this is the thing. And I've been saying this since the day I created this channel. I think it's literally from one of my first videos I ever did. Singing is not about perfect notes. Singing is about communication. And all of the artists that you've mentioned here, Bob Dylan, Leonard Cohen, Tom Waits, all of these artists have tapped into that. It's not about, accurately nailing the notes. If you can deliver a narrative to your audience, and if you can really hit the mark and get a message across, then you really nail it. It was funny. I was picking my son up from tennis last Friday, and this song came on. I was listening to more of a talk station at the time, and like a news station, but they put a song on, and from a new they just described her as a new artist. I didn't catch the name, and do you know what? It was, and now maybe I'm just showing my age, because it was more of a new styled sort of pop folk. But the funny thing about it is I honestly, I could not. And I listened really hard. I thought maybe I'm just getting old, but I could not understand a single word that this artist was singing. I literally, it was literally a mess of vowel. And the sad thing about it was, because I was immediately captivated by the tonal features of the voice. I thought, oh, that's a nice voice. And so as my ear sort of tried to zone in, so I was captured by the pitch, because obviously there's almost certainly tuning on it, whatever. But you know what? She lost me, because I stayed with her. I tried. I thought, no, I'm going to give this artist the benefit of the doubt. Maybe there's just a couple of phrases here where it's just not. I'm serious. I listened to what I think. I listened to a verse, chorus, verse, and it was a mess. It was, and to a certain extent, I would hold the producer of this track accountable, because I just couldn't understand the lyric. I had no idea what the song was about. What did I do? Well, in this case, I actually turned it off, hopped out of the car, and went and picked up my son from tennis. But I would have continued to sit and listen to her if she had have said something to me, if she had have delivered a message to me. But she didn't. She just, and so as a result, I walked away. And that's such an important point. In fact, I would have, if she had have captured me with a narrative, I can even forgive poor pitch. It's so important that you orientate to the narrative first, and in so many cases that means that your lyric has to be really clear. You know, make sure that you are giving us good articulation. We're not talking the Queen's English here. You know, if you listen to Bob Dylan, even Leonard Cohen, this is not, you know, overly pronounced, you know, overdone articulation. We're just talking about having some clarity. Make that your goal, and then line up the other ducks after that one. I don't know if that's helpful. I'm Jesus. I've looked over at the time. We've got another super chat. Bree, thank you. I dare say Bree's from Canada because it's got a CA in front of the super chat there. I wasn't able to sing much because I was living in a dorm at a teacher's college. I feel like I've gotten rusty, especially with breath control. I notice my body and voice has tension. How can I fix it? Also, do you know anything about the impact of epilepsy on the voice? I don't know a lot about epilepsy. That's a really good... I've had students with epilepsy over the years, but I've not noticed for them particularly. As you would know, Bree, epilepsy has a variety of expressions, the way it imposes itself on different individuals, and there are different types of epilepsy. And certainly the students I've had have all been able to attend lessons, and we've never had an issue. I've never had a student have an epilepsy event happen in lessons. So for their voice, it was never an issue. Coming back to your original question, the voice is something where it's not a case. It's not a purely a case of use it or you'll lose it, but it is a case of fitness. And so we do have to make sure we workshop the voice regularly, so to keep it fit. For example, I went this morning. I'm pleased to report I went to the gym this morning, and I've because after COVID, right, and here in Australia and Brisbane, we're kind of getting back to some semblance of normal. Hence I was able to go out to dinner with my wife. The first time in 6 months we actually went to a restaurant, which was fabulous. This is last Friday. A lot happened last Friday. Anyway, so getting back into the gym, you know, but re-establishing that fitness, it's taking time. It's taking me some effort to get back into that. And it will be the same for your voice, Bree. You know, I don't know how old you are. Your name would lend me to think that you are a younger person as opposed to a person in their senior years. I could be wrong. But you're also living in a dorm at a teacher's college. So the point being is that don't freak out. You haven't lost anything. The voice is still there, but it will take you some dedication and consistency. It's both consistency and persistency that will re-establish the fitness of your voice. I do encourage you, start it off every second day. If the voice is, you've let it go for a few months, then you've got to kind of rebuild that fitness back up. Don't just jump in at the point that you perhaps remember your vocal fitness being at. You know, let it build up over time, and the voice will re-establish fitness rather quickly. You don't have to wait months, you know, or years to get the voice back. But nonetheless, do give it some time, you know, to sort of get back into there and get the muscles all, you know, starting to take on some load again. And yeah, so yeah, I would encourage you to do that. I'm gonna draw a line under it there because I've just looked over at my time, and also I've just remembered I've got a brand new student starting with me in 15 minutes. And so I want to make sure I get really ready for them for their first session. What a great great time we've had. Can I really thank everyone who's done a super chat today? It is one of the things with our Q&As now. There are so many of you that chime in live that you know, making, if you really want your question answered, then the super chats ensure that we get to that. So good to have you all chiming in. Please don't forget, if you want to save $150 for Voice Essentials 3, now is the time to go and purchase it. You've only got 2 days to actually make sure that you know, get the super chat, get the Voice Essentials 3 for $150 off, because currently it's only that $97. And I don't want you to miss out if you're really keen to get that, because from the 15th of October onwards, it'll go up $100. So I hope you've enjoyed the show. I hope you've got something out of it. We're going to do this Q&A. We're going to do it again next week. Unlike last week where I told everyone I'd be there and then wasn't because I was on public holiday. No, next week, all things being equal, I will be here. I very much hope that I can join you all then. I hope you have a great week. I hope you are safe and healthy wherever you are, and have a great week, whatever you're going to be getting up to. I'll see you again soon. I'm Dr. Dan. Sing well.